Children and their parents can look forward to the first night-themed children's season. Organised by the National Heritage Board and the Museum Roundtable, children will get to experience cultural and educational aspects of Singapore's heritage. And for more, we're joined now by Nicola Ma. She's Manager of International and Museum Relations at the National Heritage Board, and Kamini Ramachandran. She's Director of the Storytelling Centre. Ladies, welcome to Singapore Tonight. Thank you for joining me this evening. Nicola, let's start off with you. This first night-themed festival that we're going to have, tell us more about the move to make museums as well as artefacts in them come alive after dark.
Yeah, so of course with really why did we decide on the nighttime as well as the programming itself was really to offer more options to parents, especially working parents who would like to bring their children to the museums after hours. So here we're looking at really providing that option, but also the night theme actually gives this veil of adventure and mystery, which was something that we were hoping to inspire the museums to be able to create these experiences, new experiences really for families and children to enjoy together. So as part of this, really the components that we have, one of them is Artifacts Alive, and we are working with the Storytelling Centre Limited to provide dramatized storytelling as well as craft sessions at 3 participating museums. It actually starts tomorrow night, which I'm so excited for. So there's the Asian Civilizations Museum, the Indian Heritage Centre, and the National Museum of Singapore.
Yeah, there's a certain mystery that things held during the evening hours brings on. So, Nicola, tell us how it's going to be different from festivals that we've seen in the past. And did you have any specific challenges, perhaps, of hosting this thing at night?
Yes, I think definitely logistically and coordination wise, everyone's always going to be focused on what are the kind of arrangements you have to do to extend museums beyond the usual working hours. But I think really everyone is very excited to come on board with this when we tell them that, for example, this is really a different take on the museums at night. Imagine having storytellings that are close to bedtime for children and parents. And we're hoping that this is something that they could also take home to explore. But also the attraction is really on the craft activities where we really work depending on the artifacts that were chosen as well as the stories we wanted to tell to create different craft items that glow in the dark or under UV lighting. So at the Indian Heritage Centre, for example, you could do a coloured Garuda with wings, which is based on the mythical creature as well as the mythology of the Garuda itself. So after the storytelling session, children can actually then go on to create their own character and take it as a home for a memento to take home as well. So we're hoping that this really captures them from a very young age to provide these memorable experiences at the night. And that's something that's really exciting and they haven't done before.
It is going to be very exciting for the kids to be able to participate in that. Kamini, your company is collaborating with Museum Roundtable for one of the programs known as Artifacts Alive, which in and of itself is a very compelling sort of prospect. You've got different artifacts, the strongest of them all, that's going to be at ACM, the God of Birds at IHC, also something called the Runaway Quay. Which sounds like we really want to know more. But storytelling is such a powerful tool to actually do this, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think, having a museum setting with folk tales and mythology, bringing artifacts alive is a perfect introduction to culture for families with young children. And the Indian Heritage Centre, Asian Civilizations Museum, and the National Museum have an incredible collection. And they all lend themselves to having families come in with children and, make their way into the galleries at night and then have a storyteller activate that space and bring alive this artifact that's historical, that's cultural, that has heritage in it and tradition, and using stories and narratives to connect using characters, something in the museum, to these young contemporary families who are here with us.
Just very quickly, Kamini, can you give our viewers a quick sample of one of those stories, perhaps?
So the one that's really close to my heart is the story that's going to be shared at the Indian Heritage Center, and it's called The God of Birds. So a long time ago, in a forest, there was a terrible forest fire. And all the forest animals ran away, they fled, and they left their home, all except for one tiny little bird. And she decided that she would go and dip her wings in a faraway river and keep flying back and forth and try to sprinkle the droplets of water to put out the fire. Of course, her actions caught the attention of the gods above. And Garuda, the mythical eagle king or the god of birds, he noticed what she was doing. And he was so full of admiration for her efforts and her love for her home and to save the forest that he came down. And he was so full of compassion that he began to cry. And when the eagle god Garuda cries, his tears are enormous and they roll down his face and turned into rivers that eventually put out the forest fire. And that's how the forest began to regenerate and all the animals came back to their homes, thanks to this tiny little bird and, of course, the love and compassion of Garuda.
Well, Kamini, you have given us a wonderful taster for Artifacts Alive. Thank you very much, both of you. Nicola Ma from the National Heritage Board and Kamini Ramachandran from the Storytelling Centre.